Autocrossing, sometimes known as solo 2 or slalom racing, is not a sport for the faint of heart. Week after week, cars congregate at flat slabs of concrete across the country as temporary courses test their mettle as well as that of their drivers. Here, champions are forged and the weak are sifted like chaff.
Imagine 20 miles of track, all condensed down into one. The turns come at you in rapid fire like a machine gun. It's really intense.
I know what you're thinking. A run is only 40 or 50 seconds long. Some guys race their cars for 24 hours straight, but let me tell you, it's not easy. You don't get any practice runs. The course is different every time. The sun is beating down on you. There's wind. Okay, so it's not Le Mans tough, but it's all the racing we afford to do right now.
Some people say it's not really racing. But we've got start lines, a finish line, a guy waving a flag. What else would you call that?
For one team, it's become more than a simple test of speed and skill. The men and women of Westhavenbrook Racing have thrown themselves into the fire and are taking on the ultimate challenge.
I'm taking my watch off to reduce weight. It makes me faster.
I also empty my bladder for the same reason. Well, I picked up this little Lotus down in Southern California back in '09. I had big dreams of racing her someday.
When we started, the car was pretty rough. It was basically a street trim. It was loads of fun. It wasn't going to give anybody a run for their money on the track, though.
Well, we started by swapping out the engine for a more modern fuel-injected motor, and we promptly lost our first race.
Last. We came in last. That's when the real work began.
The team went through the entire chassis, shaving weight and tuning the suspension for the brutal demands of an autocross course.
We got the car good and balanced and decided it was time to take a stab at a full season of competition. Now the car's delicate, I won't lie. Breaks down anytime you look at it. But I knew we were up to the challenge.
Everything in that car is paper thin. I mean, you're basically riding in a canoe, and it's like suspended on some sheet metal. The wiring was designed by Satan himself. The front end lifts off the ground anytime you get any kind of speed. That gearbox was never designed for that type of engine. And the back end, well, it's ugly.
It's aerodynamic.
Oh, well, I would say from certain angles, yeah, it's aesthetically challenged.
April 2012.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed the faces that Ben makes when he's driving?
No. What?
Yeah, like I was watching the footage. When he's driving really hard, his face just goes berserk. It's frenzied.
The team sets out for its first race of the season. The team manager has arranged a bit of a twist. They will run the first part of the day with Ben driving, and during the second half they'll be testing a new rookie.
I got my start way back when I was barely walking. I was driving a big wheel and I was tearing up the yard so fast that I squished a turtle. I don't tolerate slow.
modifications to the car have worked a bit of magic. While once the little Lotus had been 10 seconds off the pace of the competition, it's now solidly in the mix. But even more of a surprise is the speed of their new recruit.
Well, it went well. After only a couple of laps, she was only 2 seconds behind Ben. And this is only her first time driving the car, let alone racing. I think her second lap was actually faster than Ben's second lap.
It's really great when you can see new talent emerge. She's got some work to do, but I'm sure we'll be seeing more of her. Down the road, in a year or two.
I'm ready to race whenever they need me. There are a couple of things I'd like to change though. For one, I think I could shave 3 to 4 seconds off of the laps if the car were actually set up for me and not someone else. But whatever, bring it.
In order to compete at its best, everything on the car must operate as optimally as possible. So naturally, at the heart of any race team are the men and women who keep the car in perfect running order.
I've been working on the Europa for about 3 years now, and I tell you, like, in the very beginning, it was a struggle just to get it out of the driveway.
Well, it's a lot of work. I don't think the car was meant to last 40 years. And it certainly shouldn't still be on the track. I don't know how this got out or how to put it back in.
Just clean it and put it on the bench.
It's hard on our old parts. We try to replace or upgrade everything whenever we get a chance, but it's a real challenge. Those 50 seconds of brutal forces each lap, they really rip her apart.
Well, is it like this with any car?
No, any decent car could autocross all day long and do just fine.
June. The harsh demands of racing take their toll. The car has shed its alternator and a rear hub nut by the midday break. But the worst is yet to come.
Whoa!
It's mostly when I put in the clutch, but sometimes when it's not, too.
Does it have anything to do with the alternator? I mean, we already know it's a problem.
Well, here's your problem. The entire thing's shredded like a taco. Failed underneath the cornering load. Now it looks like some Colby Jack cheese.
The maple kind, yeah.
The rear suspension bolts up to the transmission, so the transmission mounts have to withstand the cornering forces of the car. The rear mount gave out, so we'll try to beef it up and send it back out.
It just shows he's not being smooth with the car. If he got his weight transfers all smooth, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's time to give someone else a shot.
I drove it to death!
End of part 1.